Hello, dear friends. The public wants instant answers, but the process requires precision. Opinion piece. Hidden clock. Time is ticking. Covert warfare. Matrix collapse. Delay is not defeat. The clock is ticking. Silence is not empty. Change is not far off. Delay means alignment. Silence means protection. The secret mechanism of time. Signals are coming back strong. The world changes first in silence. Change doesn't happen without signs. You cannot speed up the hidden clock. Let's start. The collapse of the fiduciary matrix follows a mathematical clockwork mechanism. According to Guardian Daniel, there is a clock that the public cannot see. It doesn't hang on a wall. It doesn't appear in the news. It doesn't move with the noise of the world. It moves behind the country, inside silent places, where decisions are made, systems are tested, obstacles are removed, and the path ahead is paved before the public is allowed to see the full picture. This is the hidden clock. To many, it may seem that nothing is happening. They see the silence and think the process has stopped. They see delays and think the mission has failed. They see the pressure and believe the old system is still in control. But silence isn't always empty. Delay isn't always defeat. And pressure doesn't always mean weakness. Sometimes pressure means the final mechanism is being set in motion. Sometimes silence means protection. Sometimes delay means alignment. Sometimes the most important work happens at the exact moment the public believes nothing is happening at all. The financial system doesn't change without synchronization. The digital structure doesn't change without preparation. Layers of security aren't activated without coordination. Liquidity doesn't move without the right doors being opened in the right order. The public wants instant answers, but the process requires precision. A door opened too soon can create chaos. A signal sent too early can be intercepted. A system activated before protection is complete can expose people instead of helping them. That is why timing and discipline matter. And that is why you cannot speed up the clock hidden by emotion. But no mistake. Time is ticking, and the clock keeps ticking. The old structures can feel it. The banks can feel it. The digital systems can feel it. The people behind the scenes can feel it. The pressure is no longer theoretical. Change is no longer distant. The signs are becoming loud for those who know how to observe. The old world still wants people to believe that time belongs to them. But time is moving against everything built on delay, control, confusion, and false security. The longer the process drags on, the more the old system exposes its weakness. The longer people stay awake, the harder it becomes to hide what is coming. This is why every sign matters. A delay can be a sign. Silence can be a sign. A sudden change in language can be a sign. A system update can be a sign. A bank transaction can be a sign. A legal change can be a sign. A security change can be a sign. Not everything will be announced directly, but those who observe carefully will understand that the clock is ticking. The hidden clock isn't about fear, isn't about preparation. It's about understanding that the world doesn't change only when the public sees the announcement. The world changes first silently. then through pressure, then through alignment, and finally through liberation. Now we are at a time when people must remain calm, disciplined, and connected. This is not the time to succumb to confusion, lose patience, or allow the noise to distract them. This is the time to observe carefully, listen attentively, and understand that what happens hidden today may be visible tomorrow. The storm doesn't arrive without warning. Change doesn't happen without signs. Liberation doesn't come without preparation. And the future doesn't open until the hidden clock reaches the right moment. People have waited long enough. The burden has been heavy. The delay has been painful. The questions have been many. But the hidden clock is still ticking, and what moves cannot remain hidden forever. Reflections. We are in the middle of a covert war according to clandestine. If you truly grasp the magnitude of our situation, you will understand that they are surgically eradicating an extremely powerful transnational organization infiltrated in governments around the world, known as the dark side, without causing widespread chaos or civilian casualties. The world will be saved, and you are going to like it. There is a fog of war. The enemy can't see what's happening behind the scenes until it's too late. Solar storm. A coronal mass ejection struck Earth on Sunday, August 2nd, triggering a G2 geomagnetic storm. There is a possibility that it may have reactivated today, Monday, August 3rd, as Earth moves through the magnetized trail of the solar flare. Wisdom of the ancestors. The clothes worn by our ancestors have been ridiculed to the point of caricature. For example, the wool hat is not comical at all, but rather very practical for staying warm in winter. Long trousers are not ridiculous. They protect against hip pain. The espadrille is not a symbol of poverty, but more comfortable than modern footwear because it allows perspiration. The beret is not a symbol of ignorance, but of creativity, worn by great artists such as Wagner, Picasso, and Hemingway, and so on. Ether Project. A senior NASA engineer has just escaped to Switzerland. He worked on Blacktail project for 11 years and has just leaked the files, according to Mr. Poole. He worked for 11 years at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and at a classified underground facility in Nevada from 2013 to 25 on a propulsion system that is physically impossible. He calls it Ether Project. In 2018, a formula for satellite propulsion and zero-point energy generation without reaction was deciphered, and a 30-meter disc prototype was created that took off without noise, exhaust, or fuel. He also claims that Mars was reached in 3 hours at an extraordinary speed. The technology belongs to humanity and has been hidden to maintain energy and economic dependencies. The engineer is safe. The files have been leaked and the countdown has begun. The whistleblower says he has catalogued 44 probes sent to the outer solar system, 12 crewed space infrastructure flight, 0 carbon emissions, and the suppression of 19 patents, in addition to accusing contractors and officials of concealing the technology. He explains that they fled to Switzerland after copying 40 gigabytes of schematics because commercialization would have been limited to private orbital defense stations, while the public would continue to face carbon taxes. Healing chamber. The Mother of Mercy, Kuan Yin, states that the Karma boat maintains a healing chamber intended to help people incarnated on Earth release blockaged, dense emotions, wounds, and negativity. The message presents this help as a spiritual resource available through a conscious request for entry and a clear intention regarding what one wishes to work on. Kuan Yin maintains that anyone can access this healing chamber on a planetary level without limit on the number of visits. Upon entering this space, guides or support beings are activated to accompany the process, although the person may not always consciously perceive them. Simply expressing the desire to access the Karma boat's healing chamber is enough to begin the spiritual work. Kuan Yin is the goddess of mercy, or the bodhisattva of compassion and healing. She is presented as an ascended being who accompanies humanity and helps alleviate the suffering of those who invoke her. Breaking news. Oil falls more than 7% on hopes for a US-Iran solution. The Ceuta crisis led to the European Union to study internal border controls. Leaders of 22 European countries call for an urgent meeting over the invasion of Ceuta. The invasion of the Spanish border is a disaster for the open border advocates. The Ceuta government estimates that between 3,000 and 5,000 migrants remain in the city. Police estimate that some 73,500 migrants have already left Ceuta for Morocco. The army is transporting hundreds of migrants from Ceuta's neighborhoods back to the border. Ceuta faces the border crisis with thousands of migrants still in the city and more than 860 minors under guardianship. Transfers by boat and jet ski from Ceuta to the Campo de Gibraltar have been detected. The Ceuta migration crisis brings tension to the streets amid protest and criticism of the government. Spain received more than 46 million tourists in the first half of the year, and their spending increased by 7%. Americas. Cuba wakes up without power after another nationwide blackout, the 6th this year. Cuba expands market reforms as the communist economy falters. The US Navy conducts a large-scale exercise in the Panama Canal. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.